Hi parents, do you have a struggling reader? Maybe your child takes a long time to read something. Maybe the reading sounds a little bit choppy and it's not very smooth. Stick around because today I'm talking about how to improve your child's fluency, and it's part of my new series, How to Help Your Struggling Reader. Rebecca with the Parent-Teacher Bridge, where you can find the ideas and resources you need to empower you to be your child's most influential teacher. Now, this is our series, How to Help Your Struggling Reader at Home, and I have an entire list of reasons why your child might be struggling and how to fix them. You'll find that in the description below, along with any other links to videos in this series. But today I'm talking about how to help your child improve their fluency or their smoothness of reading. But before we get started, make sure you click like and subscribe so you can be notified each time I upload a new video for your child's learning. And don't forget, I'll also include a link to my 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader, which includes some helpful tips that you can implement today to see improvement. Well, let's first define what fluency is. Well, if you have a child who is struggling to read, they're able to figure out the words. It just takes quite a bit of time to figure out the words, and the reading is choppy, or maybe they see a word and they're not able to say the word right away. They're having to slowly sound it out. They're able to get it on their own, but it's taking a long time. And by the time they get to the end of the sentence, they've probably forgotten what the sentence says as a whole, and therefore it messes with their comprehension, and it can keep them from liking to read as much. So let's tackle that issue today. When a child struggles with fluency, he may not pay attention to the periods on the page, and he might pause at the end of the line instead. A child might not use voices when reading the dialogue or the words the characters say, and the child might not voice the punctuation with questions and exclamations. Also, a child's reading might be slow, although most of the words are read correctly. It takes a long time for the child to sound out the words. So let's start simple. The first tip that I can tell you is to increase the amount of reading practice that your child has. Now that reading practice needs to be out loud, needs to be with you nearby so you can see the words on the page your child is reading. Maybe you need to bump up the frequency. If your child is not doing this with you every day, make sure you do it every day, including the weekend. Another thing that you can do to help your child with fluency is to have your child reread the book one page at a time. Now, it might be the case that your child can't read through the entire book in one setting. That's fine. Your child may not even be able to read through an entire chapter. Whatever it is that they can handle in about a 20-minute period is a good rule of thumb. Number 3, another way that you can reread books is to have a group of books that your child can practice over the period of a week or 2. The way that I handled this as a teacher in a 2nd grade classroom is I had each child have a special book bag. And these were hand-picked books for the children. They weren't too easy or too difficult. Some of them were right on the child's level. Some of them pushed the child a little bit more, and some of them were a little bit below the child's level so that they could really practice how to read smoothly and how to get the voices right, pay attention to the punctuation, and so on. And during our quiet reading time, which is about 20 minutes a day, the child knew that was their time to sit quietly, the lights dimmed, everything calm, and they're rereading those books. It's going to help if your child can read them aloud, even if you can't be there at the same time. But that's another plus to rereading, because your child has already sat with you one time and figured out some of the words, so they're less likely to pull out a random word that just doesn't make sense. Number 4, double check that your child knows their sight words. And you can use the list Dolch sight words. I'll include a link in the description below. Different teachers have different opinions on the Dolch sight words. Most of them can be read by sounding them out. There's a few that cannot, and there are some little tips and tricks to that. I will leave a link in the description below to a couple of my videos that I've made on the importance of sight words and some ways that you can teach them. But it is true that if your child does not know and recognize these sight words, that it will slow down their fluency. So I always like to check when a child is coming to me for reading tutoring that sight words isn't the problem, that's not the problem that's holding them up. Because sometimes that may be all it takes is for you to practice sight words with your child, and then that will improve their fluency as well. I tutored a little girl today. She's in 2nd grade, and I hadn't met with her in several months because some things had come up with scheduling with the parents and such. And I was very impressed with some of the improvements that she had made and some of the words that she was able to decode. And I could tell just from hearing her read her reading story that her teacher had assigned this week, that really all she needed was to reread the book and practice it a little bit more. If your child is flying through those periods, talk to your child about what it means to stop and pause at a period. Read the sentence or two like it should be read and have your child repeat it back to you. Maybe even try reading it the way that your child reads it. For example, a lot of children want to stop reading when they get to the end of a line instead of when they get to the end of a period. So if you model or act out the wrong way, and you also model and act out the right way, you can help teach your child which one is best and what's the difference between them. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought about this video and if you have any additional tips that you have used to increase your child's reading fluency. I'd love to hear them. And don't forget about my 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader. You'll find that in the description below. It's a free guide. It has tips that you can use today. Continue implementing those and your child will improve in about a month or less. You can find the Parent Teacher Bridge on Facebook and Instagram. You can also go to my website where you can find some other blog articles, and make sure you check out some of the other videos on this channel. Remember, you are your child's most influential teacher.